Every major theft leaves something behind. A broken lock, a shattered window, a missing key. But what if millions of dollars disappeared without anyone breaking into a building? No alarms, no hackers breaking through firewalls, no stolen passwords, just one phone call, one familiar voice, and one decision that changed everything. By the time the truth was uncovered, the money had already crossed international borders. The strangest part, the man who gave the order had never picked up the phone. At first glance, Vantage Dynamics looked like one of the safest companies in the world. Its headquarters overlooked the skyline of a bustling financial district. Thousands of employees worked across several countries, managing projects worth billions of dollars every year. Security wasn't just important, it was part of the company's identity. Every employee completed cybersecurity training. Sensitive files were encrypted. Financial transfers required multiple approvals. Executives regularly reminded staff that protecting company assets was everyone's responsibility. If someone had asked which company was least likely to fall victim to fraud, Vantage Dynamics would have been near the top of the list. Leading the company was CEO Daniel Mercer. He had built a reputation as a calm, decisive leader. Daniel wasn't the kind of executive who raised his voice. He believed that confidence came from clarity, not volume. Employees trusted him because his instructions were always direct and well thought out. One of those employees was Sarah Collins, the company's finance director. Sarah had spent more than 12 years building a career defined by precision. Every payment she approved was checked repeatedly. Every financial report passed through her careful review. Colleagues often joked that if Sarah couldn't find a mistake, there probably wasn't one. She wore that reputation with quiet pride. To her, protecting the company's finances wasn't just a job. It was a responsibility. The morning began like any other. Emails filled her inbox. Meetings appeared on her calendar. The finance department prepared reports for an upcoming board meeting. Nothing seemed unusual. Outside the office, rain tapped softly against the windows. Inside, keyboards clicked steadily as another workday unfolded. Around 11 o'clock, Sarah's desk phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, an internal executive number. She answered immediately. Sarah. The voice on the other end was unmistakable. Daniel Mercer, her CEO. Morning, he said calmly. I need your help with something confidential. Sarah straightened in her chair. Confidential acquisitions weren't unusual. In a company of this size, secrecy often protected sensitive negotiations. We're finalizing an acquisition, Daniel continued. The board knows about it. But until the paperwork is complete, only a handful of people can be involved. Sarah listened carefully. Everything sounded normal. The voice, the confidence, even the slight pause Daniel always made before discussing important decisions. There was nothing strange about the conversation. In fact, it sounded exactly like every conversation she had ever had with him. Daniel explained that an overseas partner required an immediate payment before the agreement could move forward. If the transfer was delayed, the opportunity might disappear. I know this is short notice, he said, but timing is critical. Sarah opened the company's secure payment system. This needs to stay confidential, Daniel added. I don't want unnecessary questions until the acquisition is announced. Again, nothing seemed unusual. Executives often restricted information during sensitive negotiations. Sarah had handled confidential transfers before. She reviewed the banking information displayed on her monitor. Everything appeared complete. The receiving account had supporting documents. The transfer amount matched what Daniel described. She hesitated, not because she distrusted him, but because the payment was larger than most routine transactions. Daniel sensed the pause. You've always been thorough, he said. That's exactly why I called you. The compliment reassured her. It sounded genuine. It sounded personal. Most importantly, It sounded exactly like Daniel Mercer. Sarah approved the transfer. A confirmation message appeared on her screen. Within seconds, millions of dollars left the company's account. The phone call ended. Sarah returned to work, believing she had just helped secure one of the company's biggest business deals. She had no idea she had just become the victim of one of the most sophisticated frauds imaginable. The rest of the afternoon passed quietly. Nothing unusual happened. No alarms sounded. No security warnings appeared. The payment settled exactly as expected. Everything suggested the transaction was legitimate. Then, just before 5 o'clock, Daniel Mercer walked into the finance department. He smiled as he greeted employees making their way home. When he reached Sarah's office, she looked up. "Perfect timing," she said. "I've completed the transfer for the acquisition." Daniel frowned. "What acquisition?" Sarah laughed softly. "The one you called me about this morning." The smile disappeared from Daniel's face. "I never called you." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Sarah felt the room grow strangely quiet. Her heartbeat quickened. She searched Daniel's face for any sign that he was joking. There wasn't one. He looked genuinely confused. Then he asked a question that made every second of the day's events replay in Sarah's mind. "If that wasn't me, who were you talking to?" Sarah stared at Daniel in disbelief. Her hand slowly pulled away from the keyboard. The room suddenly felt colder. She searched his face for any hint that this was some kind of misunderstanding. There wasn't one. Daniel looked genuinely confused. "I've been in meetings all morning," he said quietly. "I haven't called anyone." Sarah's stomach dropped. She reached for the office phone and checked the call history. The number looked legitimate. It matched an internal executive extension. Somehow, the call appeared to have come from inside the company. Within minutes, the finance department transformed from a quiet office into the center of an unfolding crisis. Daniel immediately contacted the company's chief information security officer. An emergency response team assembled in the executive conference room. Cybersecurity specialists, finance executives, legal advisors, risk managers. Everyone asked the same question. How could this happen? The first assumption was obvious. Someone must have hacked the company's systems. The cybersecurity team immediately searched for signs of intrusion. They checked server logs, email accounts, VPN access, firewall activity, employee login records. Hours passed. Nothing. No malware. No stolen passwords. No unauthorized access. Every digital defense was still intact. It made no sense. $10 million had disappeared. Yet no one had broken into the company's network. Meanwhile, the banking team contacted the financial institution responsible for processing the transfer. They requested an emergency freeze. Every second mattered. The funds had already reached the destination account. Moments later, they moved again. The money was divided into several smaller transfers, then routed through multiple international accounts. By the time authorities began tracing the trail, the criminals had already planned 3 steps ahead. Each transfer made the money harder to recover. It was like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. While financial investigators followed the money, cybersecurity experts focused on the phone call. Sarah replayed every detail she could remember. The voice was perfect, she whispered. It sounded exactly like Daniel. His tone, his pauses, even the way he pronounced certain words. Everything matched. One investigator leaned forward. Did he say anything unusual? Sarah thought carefully. No. That's what scares me. He sounded exactly like himself. The room fell silent. Then one of the cybersecurity analysts asked a question no one had considered. What if it wasn't his voice? The room looked puzzled. What do you mean? Daniel asked. The analyst connected a laptop to the large conference display. He opened a demonstration program. On the screen appeared 2 audio files. "I'm going to play two voices," he explained. "One is real. The other was created entirely by artificial intelligence." The first recording played, then the second. When it ended, no one spoke. No one in the room could confidently identify which voice was real. The analyst nodded. "That's the problem. Modern AI can clone a person's voice using publicly available recordings." He opened another screen. Daniel's face appeared. Conference speeches, television interviews, podcasts, shareholder meetings, award ceremonies, dozens of videos, hundreds of hours of audio. The analyst looked at Daniel. "You've spent years building your public reputation. So has your voice." A chilling realization spread across the room. Someone hadn't stolen Daniel's identity. They had manufactured it. Using artificial intelligence, the criminals had recreated his voice with astonishing accuracy. Not just the words, his confidence, his rhythm, even the tiny pauses Sarah had unconsciously learned to trust. The company's strongest security systems had never failed, because the attack had never targeted the computers. It targeted the people. Investigators soon discovered something else. The criminals knew far more than Daniel's voice. They understood the company's structure. They knew Sarah's responsibilities. They knew Daniel often handled confidential acquisitions personally. Someone had spent months studying the organization. Every annual report, every executive interview, every press release, every social media post, every small piece of public information became another piece of the puzzle. Individually, they meant almost nothing. Together, they created the perfect deception. Law enforcement agencies from multiple countries joined the investigation. Financial crime specialists tracked the movement of the stolen $10 million across borders. Some accounts were identified. A small portion of the funds was frozen before it could disappear again. But most of the money continued moving through a maze of shell companies, digital payment services, and overseas financial networks. The criminals stayed hidden. They had planned every step long before Sarah ever answered the phone. As weeks turned into months, the story spread across the business world. Executives who once trusted phone calls without question suddenly became cautious. Banks issued new security guidance. Technology companies accelerated research into detecting AI-generated voices. Cybersecurity experts warned that this wouldn't be the last case. It would simply be the first that captured global attention. For Sarah, however, one question lingered. How could she have prevented it? The answer wasn't simple. Because she hadn't ignored company policy. She hadn't acted carelessly. She had trusted someone she believed she knew. Only, the person on the other end had never existed. For weeks, investigators studied every detail of the attack. The stolen money, the fake phone call, the artificial voice, the planning behind the deception. But the biggest question remained. How did the criminals create a voice convincing enough to fool an experienced finance director? The answer was hidden in something most people never think twice about. Information that was already public. Daniel Mercer was a successful CEO. Like many executives, his professional life existed online. Company interviews, industry conferences, public presentations, investor meetings. Every appearance created another recording of his voice. For years, these recordings were harmless. They helped customers understand the company. They helped investors learn about its direction. They helped build trust. But in the wrong hands, they became something else. A blueprint. Investigators believed the criminals used publicly available audio samples to create a synthetic version of Daniel's voice. The technology analyzed how he spoke, the speed of his words, his pronunciation, his natural pauses, the subtle patterns that made his voice unique. Then artificial intelligence recreated those patterns. The result was not a simple imitation. It was a digital copy designed to sound authentic. As investigators reconstructed the crime, they discovered something uncomfortable. The criminals did not defeat the company's technology. They defeated its assumptions. The company had strong cybersecurity, but its security procedures were built around a traditional idea. If someone sounds like the right person, they probably are the right person. That assumption had worked for decades. A familiar voice carried authority. A familiar voice created confidence. A familiar voice felt personal. But artificial intelligence changed the rules. For the first time, criminals could create the appearance of trust without earning it. They could manufacture familiarity. And that made voice-based deception more dangerous than ever. After the incident, Vantage Dynamics completely redesigned its verification process. Phone calls alone were no longer considered enough for sensitive financial decisions. Large transfers required additional confirmation. Executives needed to verify requests through separate communication channels. Important financial actions required multiple approvals. Employees were trained to question unusual urgency, even when instructions appeared to come from senior leadership. The goal was not to remove trust. Trust was still necessary for business. The goal was to support trust with verification. Because in the modern world, a voice is evidence, but it is not proof. The case became a warning for organizations everywhere. AI technology was advancing faster than many security systems could adapt. The same tools that could create art, improve communication, and help people regain their voices could also be misused. The danger wasn't artificial intelligence itself. The danger was using powerful technology without understanding how easily it could be abused. Cybersecurity experts began sharing a new message with businesses. Do not only protect your networks, protect your decisions. Because criminals are no longer limited to stealing information. They can now imitate the people who control it. The $10 million fraud at Vantage Dynamics was not a story about a careless employee. It was a story about a changing world. Sarah did what many people would have done. She heard the voice of someone she trusted. She believed the information she was given. She followed what appeared to be a legitimate request. The criminals succeeded because they understood something important about human nature. People trust what feels familiar, but familiarity can be manufactured. A voice can be copied. A message can be manipulated. An identity can be recreated. That is why the most important security tool in the future will not only be technology, it will be awareness, the ability to stop, to question, to verify. Because the greatest threats are no longer always hiding behind locked doors. Sometimes, they are waiting on the other end of the phone. Every case leaves a trail. And sometimes, the first clue is realizing that the voice you trusted was never real.